Thank you so much for listening to another episode of What's Offensive Weekly. Now, this topic that we're going to cover today is a current event. In fact, it only happened in the last week itself. It hasn't even been a full 7 days since the tragic shooting at Parkland High School down there in Florida. But Jeff and I want to take a couple moments to talk about it. Not so much the shooting, but what's going on afterwards with all the talk in the media about gun control and things like that. This is one of those topics also that is really very divisive, and so we're going to take some time to discuss that. Now, one thing we did is as soon as we started recording, we went live on Facebook, and so we had some people basically check in with us and ask us questions or offer some insight of their own. So that was good. We thank you so much for doing that, and we tried to answer those. Now, this podcast, this interview that we did took over almost 2 hours, so there's no way I'm going to go ahead and release all that at one point in time. But what we're going to do is go ahead and break this into smaller segments. So listen, guys, hope you guys are going to enjoy this. Remember, toughen your skin up. It's What's Offensive Weekly. All right, so welcome.
Are we recording?
We are recording.
All right.
It's like we're back.
Wow. All right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to What's Offensive Weekly. We are back. This is episode, I think this is going to be episode number 6.
Wow.
Yeah. You want to hear something insane, Jeff?
Sure.
Here it is. I checked this morning. We have over 300 downloads.
300? It was 250.
It was. Exactly.
Wow.
Last night I looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, over 300 episodes have already downloaded of What's Offensive Weekly. It's amazing. Thank you to those of you listening. So we're going live right now, and I'm just expecting a flood of people just signing up and just going, I can't wait to hear what Scott and Jeff are going to say in this live moment. Well, this week, Jeff and I on What's Offensive Weekly, what we always want to do is talk about those things that are current and that are currently offending people. And so this week, there's only one real topic that everybody is ranting about. And what is it, Jeff?
Baseball.
Nope.
Damn it.
It is the aftermath,
Yes.
which I'm not sure again how to spell,
Okay.
of the Parkland school shooting.
Yes.
And so, I don't think anyone's offended necessarily. Well, they're offended because the shooting happened. Mm-hmm. But what gets them offended is everyone's resolution, how we're going to solve it. So what we'd love to do, how many people are on there right now, Deanna? Is anyone, one person? Do you know who it is? Michelle, hi. Michelle already told me she'll sometimes go watch my go live for 7 seconds, and then she just goes away. I got you. I see you, Michelle. I see you. So, Michelle, you got anybody on yours?
Yeah, I got a couple people. I got Steve Strausser was watching and Brian Bazon.
Well, we'd love for you guys, if there are questions that you have, or if you want to hear our perspective on something. Did she say something?
2 minutes left.
I have 2 minutes left,
2
and then
minutes
she's
left.
out.
All right.
Jerk. So anybody?
We're losing listeners as we speak. Let's go.
Yeah. All
Get
right.
into it. Let's go.
You really ready to get into the
Let's
actual?
do it.
All
yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So as many of you know, so it was Monday. Is that correct?
I don't know.
I believe it was Monday. This past Monday is when this young man, 19-year-old,
Young
busted-
man. That's important.
He is a young man.
specify.
Yeah,
Man.
he is a
Yes.
man. He busts into
Adult.
this school and starts shooting. And when he's all done, the number was 17.
Yes.
Is that correct? 17 are gone. And I don't think the day had finished. Maybe 24 hours had passed. Maybe. And that's when all of a sudden now the debate started, which in my mind is a little sad. That
The debate starts right away, I think, with number one, with conspiracy theorists, because I've already had to deal with those people who say either, it was staged or it didn't actually happen, or,
This shooting?
Yes, this shooting.
Now,
Yes.
I believe that about the Vegas one. The Vegas one, I can definitely see that there was a potential for conspiracy, especially since we're how many months by? We're still not really sure what his motive was, and then we don't know where the girlfriend went, and there's plenty of
Are you
gaps
saying it
in
didn't
that one.
happen?
No.
Are you saying that it was staged?
I'm saying that I would have much rather when they busted in the room that he was still alive. I find it
Well, you would rather, but this isn't a CSI episode.
Understood.
I mean,
but if that were the case, I wouldn't have this doubt in my head.
but that's always my question to people like that who have any type of doubt in their head. Like, what exactly is the doubt? Like that it was staged, that it didn't really happen.
That he's a patsy. He's a patsy.
He's a patsy.
Yeah. What happened is there was one person at that concert. It was this American engineer / chemist who had been working on this highly, highly important project. And somebody knew that he had to die. And so you can't just kill him. So they killed a mass of people to hide that up. You know, just like 9/11.
Wow.
This is not.
I really thought you had. I was looking for the tinfoil on your head or something. I don't know what the hell's going on.
This is not my thought.
Okay. Wow, we're already off subject, but okay.
So, but you hold on. So you've talked to people who believe that this shooting was a conspiracy?
Yes.
How so?
Yes.
Like I can't wait to hear what they said.
Like for instance, somebody had posted on my Facebook yesterday a supposed Craigslist ad about that they're looking for, like I think it was March 4th. They're looking for crisis actors, and the pay was like $1,000, and for the event is going to take place March 4th, and all this. I'm like, holy shit! Can you be like if you're gonna do something like this, are you really gonna put out an ad on Craigslist?
No, you do it on Facebook.
Exactly. You want as many people as possible. So Facebook's way bigger than Craigslist. So yeah, absolutely.
Only creeps are on Craigslist. Come on.
Right. You wouldn't get any real actors on there.
Wow. Somebody really thought this or thinks that this was some kind of something was that we're not getting the whole truth.
Well, a lot of people, it's funny because, a year ago or 2 years ago, let's say, it was anytime something like this happened, it was Obama's trying to take our guns. Mm-hmm. And now they can't say, well, Trump's trying to take our guns. It's, it's all fake, or somebody's trying to take our gun. Now it's the shadow government, like that there's not that, everybody's there as just puppets, and there's actually the government's run by all this other shit or whatever.
The deep state.
The deep state, the shadow government, all this, all this Twilight Zone shit. And it's a matter, just like say with 9/11, all these people think, well, it was staged and Bush, flew the fucking plane into the building and jumped out right at the last second or whatever. And people just don't want to believe that bad things.
Trajectory.
Exactly.
I'm out of here.
People don't want to believe that bad things like this actually happen.
Right.
That's their problem.
So,
they want to project it, and they want to go, well, it doesn't actually happen. There's no way that this evil actually exists in the world. It's a matter of it's not real, so it was staged and fake, and all the stuff's going on about. Didn't you see any of those memes about that kid, the main kid who was the spokesman or whatever for all these kids, and he was in something like that, and he was in California. Last August, and he was a witness to some other thing. It was a minor incident. It was not a school shooting or anything. Yes. And then he, comes here and does this, and then everybody's like, "Well, he wasn't in my yearbook, and he's this and that, and all this shit starts and everything." Right. And it's some dude in a basement eating a pizza pocket with in his mom's basement or whatever, starts this stuff, and he has nothing better to do, and then it just adds to the conspiracies of all this stuff. And my problem with that is that. It takes away from trying to tackle a real issue and what's going on when you already, it's like flat earthers, it's when we're talking about how the weather works or whatever. I mean, you have to sit there and convince somebody that the earth is flat first off, before we can even go on to something else or whatever. It's frustrating, and it's offensive.
There's a part of me that thinks, like, is the reality not enough? Like the fact that 17 kids and some adults their lives were taken in a very violent way, that's not enough. Like you've got to go ahead and add this conspiracy theory to it to sexy it up for yourself.
No, it's not even that it's not enough. It's just that the people can't wrap their heads around evil. They don't want to believe that stuff happens.
Well, as I hear this, and I think you and I have talked about this even before, maybe even on considering the source. Before I make this point, I want to go say, are there any questions or any comments anybody's adding there?
Does anybody have any questions or comments that you're adding here? Look at this handsome fellow. Look at that. Look at him.
How you doing?
All right. There you go.
I would like to take this opportunity to do a couple things. We don't have any official sponsors yet.
No. We do.
Yet.
We do. Didn't I tell you about this one?
No.
Yep.
Who?
iconicphotographer.com.
Is that right?
They signed on exclusively to do commercials here with this podcast.
Listen, if you guys are not familiar with Iconic Photography, they are fantastic. They are cutting edge photographers, quality people. They do some fantastic work. And this is not sarcasm. This is me being very, very serious. Fantastic work. Their quality is the quality of character. They're very poor in that regard.
Yes.
But as far as the quality of the work that they do, holy cow!
Wow.
So thank you so much to our friends at Iconic Photography.
Fucker. Iconicphotographer.com. Iconic Photography was already taken.
Oh, iconicphotographer.com.
So Iconic Photographer became, people think that it's that person.
Yeah.
Per se, but it's not. It's just a brand. You know?
So it's iconicphotographer.com.
Yes.
So check that site out. Yeah. A couple other sites I'd love for you guys to check out.
Wait, are we getting paid for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
That root beer right there.
Oh, okay.
The consideringthesource.com. Consideringthesource.com.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can go there. Consideringthesource.com is really kind of a landing page, if you will, because you can go to that one site, and that's where you can go ahead and you can get to episodes of the podcast for Considering the Source, where we sit down and we interview individual people one-on-one to try to get their perspective on things.
That Scott hasn't done in over a year.
Yeah. And the other one is where you can also get to What's Offensive Weekly. So it's one site, and it gives you access to both those different podcasts.
Is there a link to iconicphotographer.com on there?
There absolutely is.
Oh, fantastic.
There absolutely is. There's also a link to a friend of mine. His band is Nomads. They are the one who does the music for Considering the Source, which we haven't done in over a year. Thank you very much. And the other sponsor that they don't even realize they're a sponsor, but I really felt like we should go ahead and give a shout out to them, and that is Donut Land in Brunswick,
hell
Ohio.
yes. Yes.
Listen, you're talking to a guy who has a pot belly, and Donut Land they bear some responsibility.
They sure do.
In that.
Mine too.
Because it is delicious.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite thing at Donut Land?
Apple fritters. But,
Yeah?
But lately, that's my all time. But then lately, it's been custard filled, chocolate covered Long Johns. Oh,
Custard
God, so good.
filled,
Yes.
chocolate covered Long Johns.
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful in more ways than one.
And how do you order that when you walk in?
I point at it and I go, that one.
Okay, because I was wondering if
I'd like a
custard-filled
chocolate-covered
Long John, please.
They're also, I do the Brunswick Hunt every year, which is a scavenger hunt.
Oh, yeah,
and they have donated to that every year.
Oh, that's
So they're
fantastic.
awesome, yes.
My personal favorite there is that cinnamon roll. This is just a mass of bread and cinnamon and sugar and just goodness.
Sure.
And listen, Dunkin' Donuts, you go there all you want. If that's your thing, I have my Dunkin', whatever you got to do. All I'm telling you is you're wasting your money compared to this, because this one is going to be less expensive and it's more food.
Amen. Okay, let's get back onto this fucking subject here. Okay, buddy?
All right.
Let's go. All right, come on. My buddy Brian here said, you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. He said, don't really buy into the whole conspiracy as far as it didn't happen or a staged incident. I do, however, believe that the government ignores when felons attempt to buy a firearm, even when prohibited from being in possession of one, or people who are otherwise prohibited from owning such a weapon.
What?
The statistics for felons actually being prosecuted for attempting to purchase a firearm are sickening. What do you think about that?
I would need to see those statistics.
Okay.
I'd like to know where they were acquired.
Okay.
I think that's important. Unfortunately, let me give you an example. That to my core pisses me off.
Yeah.
So it was probably Tuesday after the gun shooting, and one of the politicians in an article I read was saying in 2018 there have already been 18
That's
18
bullshit.
mass school shootings.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Not true.
how have I not heard of this?
Right.
So when I go and I actually do the research to find, okay, what are these? It's kids sometimes taking their lives
Right.
in school.
It's shootings that
Accidental.
happened after school hours that were just on the property.
Somebody's gun went off.
Right.
This is why I'm saying, so to Brian,
Sure.
I'm not debating that. All I'm saying is I would love to see the statistics that would support that.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
no,
all.
I hear you. But Okay.
But let's just go ahead with this story. And do we want to continue to go live, or are we going to tell
we're
everybody?
gonna keep going. Fine.
All right.
Whatever, man. Who cares? I got.
You getting tired, Deanna?
I'm good.
All right. Any questions over there?
No.
What, Jeff's friends are the only ones that ask questions? My friends, come on, step up your game.
They're having conversation.
Yeah, I think Steve has said that
okay.
was debunked already. I think he's talking about the 18 school shootings already.
Yeah,
And
as it should be.
yeah. So what I want to do too is take this by step here and say, what have you seen on your Facebook feed as far as possible solutions
Yeah.
for this? Let's go one at a time. What's one of them that you've seen to stop this from happening?
Well, before I get to that, I'm sorry. That's important.
Okay.
But this is I
See what happens when I try to take control?
yeah. I'm just going to
you
snatch
shoot
that.
down.
Snatching it right back.
Okay.
So this is something I have written down, and something I've thought as of late, and that is this: because what I'm going to tell you is why we have to talk about it before we can get to the solutions.
Okay.
Okay. What happens when an event like this happens is everyone's emotions go through the roof, and rightly so. If as a society this would happen, we're like, oh, okay, then we're dead. We have no souls. All right.
Sure.
So people getting emotional is natural. But what we have to do is remember this, that when your emotions go through the roof, your ability to clearly think and process and come up with legitimate solutions drops dramatically. We have to wait until the fog of war, we have to wait until those emotions die down. And then, and only then, can we actually come up and have actual rational, long-term, true, good solutions.
So you're saying now is not the time to talk about gun control? You're part of the problem. This is terrible.
Yeah.
You don't care about children. You
Yes.
hate children. You basically just killed them yourself.
Yes. So this point right here is also incredibly valid because both parties, both Republicans and Democrat, in this situation alone, did that. Because it pissed me off because Trump at first kept his mouth shut. Thank you. Just shut up and let this thing go out. And then he had to tweet, if the FBI hadn't been checking out Russia, maybe they could have solved this little problem.
That was the most
idiot.
terrible Trump
Yes.
impression I've ever heard in my life.
Thank
It was like Trump had a kid with Christopher Walken or something.
It was pretty ugly. I'll be honest. It was more Brian Regan.
Right.
More Brian Regan, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, the point is that both parties did it, and that's what annoys me.
Sure.
Ben Shapiro years ago had this famous interview with Piers Morgan. And one of his opening statements to Piers Morgan is, "You stand on the graves of these children to go ahead and just to continue to propel your political position. That basically we need to be just like London and have all guns." And Piers Morgan was so pissed. But that is exactly what Piers Morgan did. Piers Morgan wasn't talking about this in July when there were no school shootings. He waits until the school shooting happens, then steps up and says, basically, how can you not agree with this? How can you not agree? Because, and his leverage in this emotional argument is he's standing on the graves of these dead children to do it.
Well, I've always said that's the inherent initial difference between Democrats and Republicans, conservative, liberal. Let's say,
Okay.
They want to, conservatives want to think with their head, and they want to go, and so then they're labeled as emotionless, and they don't care about the heart of the matter. Whereas liberals, they think with their heart and not with their head, and they're too. And the thing is, we need to come together.
That's correct.
And think with both.
Yes.
But that's one thing that really annoys me is when, I'm conservative and you're heartless. You don't care about the homeless or the children or whatever. You just care
women's
about
rights.
people taking your guns or women's
Yeah.
rights or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
that's
but meanwhile, we're sitting here doing the main gist of all of this, and your poor wife is over here just sitting there, just being a woman,
Yeah.
basically barefoot. and just sitting there doing what you told her to do.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that, Deanna? You like how I switched that? Isn't that awesome?
We didn't prepare that.
We didn't
corner.
prepare. That wasn't on the board.
We're gonna have words later.
That's what we call improv, people. Okay, yeah. It totally throws Scott off.
Now, my point being that when emotions are high, our ability to think clearly and come up with legitimate solutions is very low.
Agreed.
So, and that also leads us to what we've seen in this past week of everybody screaming. For instance, when there was the town hall that CNN, who should have a subtitle, fair and balanced, when CNN did their little town hall and they had this woman, the head of the NRA, which is fantastic that it's a woman and she's the head of the NRA, and she comes up and they begin to chant, "Burn her."
Well, sure.
Burn her.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
that's the liberal tolerance, as we like to call it.
you've got, as long as you're agreeing with me.
Right.
Okay. And this isn't to say that there aren't Republicans who do the same thing.
Sure.
All I can speak for is me, and I strive to be objective. I may not agree with your perspective, but I don't care who you are. Unless you're a child molester, I'm not going to go burn them. That's not going to be my thing. So here we are now, a week after.
So you judge child molesters, is what you're saying?
I do.
Isn't that for God to judge?
It's actually for both.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is that Scott
There was
316?
there was a memo that was sent out.
Oh my God.
He said, in the next week, if you have some free time, if you
Okay.
could please judge these child molesters, it would really ease my. And I got it.
Oh man, I must have missed that one. Okay.
It
All
is
right.
in the Bible,
That's
Jeff.
okay.
It is in the Bible.
Oh, Scott 316.
It is not Scott 316. It was the
Roark
apostle. It was the
316.
apostle Paul. The apostle Paul. I'm popping
Thou
my
shalt
keys.
judge child molesters.
All right.
All right. Go ahead.
We didn't even start recording. What time is it? All right. So
We didn't record.
no, we're recording. I never started the timer.
Oh,
Here's the
the
point. Here's the point. We're now at a position. We're almost a week away. This isn't perfect, but I think we're almost at a point now where the emotions have started to die down, and we can now start thinking a little more rationally. So, as far as I'm concerned, there have been two solutions that I have heard that I think are the most legitimate.
Okay.
That's not to say that there aren't others that are going to come. I'm just saying
Sure.
these are two that I've heard.
Okay.
Do you want to hear those now, or do you want to?
Yeah, I wanna hear them
Okay,
now.
so here are the two.
Sure.
The first one is that there needs to be a way in which family and or close friends of a person who is basically losing it, they are out of touch. There's something wrong with them. That family or very close friends or guardians would be able to move in and take some kind of action so that the government could come in and make sure that this person has no access to any guns. This comes from a very personal place in my own life, that there was a young man who was 19 or 20 years old at the time. Was it, Deanna, what was his age? Was he 20, 21?
I don't know.
He was of age, and neither his mother or anyone in his family could have him institutionalized
Okay.
because he was over age and he has civil rights. And I understand that. But what you were dealing with was a person who was dealing with schizophrenia, and they were seeing things and they were hearing voices. And next thing you know, the young man gets into a car with guns, with money, with cell phones, and says, "I'm heading to Colorado to become a park ranger." They're not thinking clearly. And
What do you got against park rangers?
as they start moving, as they start heading out to Colorado, they all of a sudden now start ditching everything. Why? Because this reminds me of this person, or this might be bugged.
Okay.
So until this person is finally at a point where they're sleeping in, they're basically hitchhiking all the way out here, stopping, and on the side of the road there's an old combine tractor. I'll sleep in that overnight, or I'm just going to sleep in this culvert over here. Meanwhile, the mother, the father, the family, they can't do anything. They cannot even have this person institutionalized. So that's the first thing with this, is that there needs to be some ability for people to come in and say, listen, I understand the whole civil rights. I do. But sometimes when these people are in this state, they cannot think clearly. That's one. The second one is, and this has certainly lost some validity in the last probably 24 hours. And that is that there needs to be armed men or women and I'm not talking about police at this point in time. I'm sorry, I'm not talking about arming teachers.
Okay.
We can talk about that too.
Okay.
But there needs to be armed people there. the issue in the last 24
You
or
realize
48
why-
hours,
yeah, why
yes,
it-
was because we said that these guys showed up, and then they could hear the shooting inside, and they didn't go in.
Right.
I'm going to
Oh
try.
man, you look like Trump right now. That's awesome. Huge.
Really, really
Huge.
huge. These are horrible, horrible people.
Much better than your previous impression. Yeah,
I know these people. This is better than my last
yeah,
impression.
that's way better. Yeah.
I'm going to try not to judge these cops for not going in,
Okay.
but I'm pissed to my core that you did not go in. Maybe their fear is, I don't know how many are in there. I don't care how many are in there. You know what they're doing in there.
The first responders for 9/11 knew that those buildings were probably going to fall,
And they went in.
Yeah, exactly. That's your job. So
But my point is before that. I'm not talking about guys who showed up and then didn't go in, which again is totally wrong. Here's my scenario. Here in this town, can I say the name of my town? You think in this podcast? North Royalton, Ohio.
yeah.
So
Where is South Royalton?
it doesn't exist. They're
Okay.
total trash.
Wow.
there.
Okay.
Kidding to all those former South Royalton people. They're now Hinckley, so actually they've really improved.
Oh,
Think
yeah.
about that.
Oh, they are, yeah.
South Royalton is Hinckley.
Is it really?
Yeah, so we're really the trashy ones.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well,
in the north.
you're both total rich snobs. But go ahead.
Yeah, right. So in North Royalton, the middle school and the high school are just a parking lot apart. And I'm
Right.
going to tell
Yeah,
you right now,
yeah.
this floored me. This floored me. Now you can speak to Brunswick High School and middle school in a second, but I want to hear what this. So I have to go at random times. I have to go to the middle school and the high school because they forgot their lunch or they forgot their hoodie or whatever the case.
Shouldn't the woman be doing that, Scott?
I always say that, but she's like, I'm making dinner, and I'm like, all right, fine.
My gun.
She's gonna go get her gun. So this is what I find when I go to the middle school.
Yeah.
You got to buzz in.
Okay.
All right, you got to buzz in,
Yeah.
and literally one time, I was standing outside and it was cold, and I'm buzzing, and there's a mother who's coming out, and she sees me, she stops, like she won't even open, even though she's wanting
Yeah.
to exit the school.
Yeah.
She will not exit until I'm actually buzzed in, and she just waited there. And when I came in, she's like, "I'm sorry, but it's their policy." I said, "I understand.
why?
I understand."
You're a man.
That's exactly
Sexist.
yes, it's exactly what it was. So that's at the middle school. All right,
Yeah.
I had to go drop something off at the high school.
Yeah.
Now here's the only positive: in front of the high school was a cop car,
Okay.
and I presume it was a cop in there because there was a donut. But
Sure.
But I went in.
Type.
It's Captain Carl.
It was Captain Carl that was out there. Well, good for Captain Carl. So
Captain Carl.
here's the thing. When I walk through, I open the first door. I'm expecting something just like the middle school. I open the first door. I open the second door. I'm in the school. I'm walking down. And then there's Betty sitting at a little desk. Welcome to North Royalton High School. Betty, what are you going to stop? Captain Carl, I don't know what, the visual of him alone would, in my mind, would have caused someone pause.
Okay.
But Betty is not going to do anything other than she's going to probably lose her life if somebody comes in there.
Sure.
What is she going to do? So my thought is we either have to go ahead and put armed officers or armed veterans out there in front of those schools, and or when I go to work, I don't know about you, I have a badge. I
have a
can't.
badge too,
I
yeah.
cannot get into the building without that badge. Now, both of my kids at the beginning of the school year are both issued student ID. For what purpose at this point in time, I have no clue.
Yeah.
To buy lunch. We've got to get them. My wife just informed me. It's there just for them to buy lunch. Let's shoot higher, everybody. Let's go ahead and put something up so that people can't just walk in. Like this way, I would know who is coming in.
All
and out
right.
of
This
school.
is my. All right. No.
So those are my two solutions.
All right, let me rant and say that the people who you just said that they're not in their right mind. They get progressively crazy. They not thinking clearly like you or I would think.
To a point.
But do you really think if you wanted to go in there and you're like,
Understood.
I'm going to kill somebody.
Yes.
They could get in there.
I agree.
Easily.
I agree.
Just like say, who is it here? Rick Moy said, if you can screen 80,000 people to get into a football stadium, 2,000 kids can be screened to get into a school.
He is correct.
That is correct. But in that same respect, do you think that this shooter, this kid, is going to come to school and then he's going to go, oh, okay, hold on, let me go through this metal detector, let me get in line? No, they're not going to give that. It doesn't happen at the beginning of school. It happens during school when and everybody's there and like, say for instance, like at Brunswick, as far as I know, the band room has almost always been open. Like the entrance to get into that.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of extracurricular activities that occur that need cause for, all of this stuff to happen. It's very easy. I mean, metal detectors aren't going to do shit. I'm sorry. It's not going to do a damn thing, because if somebody wants to get in there, that's the thing. Everybody wants to think with their heart and go, how can we prevent this from happening? Well, you know what? Unfortunately, you can't. And you got to remove the intent from the person. And that removing the intent goes back to what you were saying with mental health. It's mental health, mental illness. I could have had access to guns. I had neighbors who had guns, whatever, when I was a kid. Nobody wanted to do this. That's the difference. Everybody says, well, it's because we don't spank kids. No, it's not because we don't spank kids. Why kids aren't going, oh, well, I didn't get spanked, and so I get everything I want, so I want to kill people. No, there's a serious mental illness going on in this country, and nobody wants to address that. Everybody wants to just say, well, how can we take the weapons away from them? Well, you can take all the weapons away from them. Even if you do, you still have to deal with the problem of why they want to hurt people.
So, all right, may I?
You may.
All right. I don't know, like, for instance, you were mentioning mental illness, and are you then equating saying every time a person comes into a school and does this mass shooting, and this is going to sound crazy that I'm even asking this question, does that always necessarily mean that something is mentally wrong, like they're out of touch?
Yes. Anytime you want to harm yourself or harm another human being and kill someone, that means you're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking straight.
I would agree you're not thinking well, meaning these are certainly not good thoughts, but I don't know that I can necessarily automatically say they're mentally ill. And even when I hear myself say it, I get it. Here's why.
Because
here's why.
The tinfoil hat's girl.
Here's why.
So, yeah. Okay.
My grandfather, the giver of all great advice, had said to me one time, as an impressionable youth, because I couldn't make this up. All right, listen, Scotty, if you're ever going to shoot somebody, you got to shoot more than one. Okay, that was his point. If you're going to go in and kill one person, you got to kill 10, because that way you can claim insanity. Okay. I'm not going to give his name.
Do you think that there was a slight tongue-in-cheek?
No. If you knew this man at all, you would know he's giving you words to live by. Scotty, if you ever get a flat tire, call AAA. If you ever get angry and want to kill somebody, kill 10. This was no tongue-in-cheek.
Okay.
This was dead serious.
Okay.
This was dead serious.
Well, do you think that your grandfather is possibly mentally ill?
That's debatable.
Okay. Well,
he's no
Case
longer
closed.
with us. Clearly he's not right now.
Sure.
But did he have his issues? Sure. Who doesn't?
Okay.
I guess my point is, like, when I think about the Columbine shooters, those two kids.
Yeah.
So now we're going to have to then conclude that they were both mentally ill. I don't know how well mentally ill people work together, that they can plot this whole thing out. That doesn't jive to me. Maybe
it
one
doesn't
person,
jive to you because you're not mentally ill. You have to realize
show me scenarios in which mentally ill people are all of a sudden going to work in perfect tandem.
Do you ever see One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yes, but
Case closed. The guy rips the water fountain out of. I barely remember.
They're opportunists.
Okay,
they're opportunists. All of a sudden, something can happen, and now we're all going to go and start having pure chaos. But this was different than that. This was well organized and planned. What they did. That doesn't speak necessarily. It speaks to a certain type of mental illness, but not like schizophrenia. It doesn't speak to.
No, it doesn't. But in the same respect, you don't know what a murderer. It's like people who.
If we're talking sociopath, if that's the type of mental illness we're going to talk about, I'm fully with you. But
what's your definition of a sociopath?
A person that basically is able to commit these crimes and they feel no emotion. They're not going to feel any remorse. If that's the mental illness that we're talking about, I'm fully on board. But I'm not going to say like it. I think that we have to make that distinction when we say it's mental illness. So sociopath, okay. Because two sociopaths, I presume, there have been serial killers and rapists that have worked as teams. But it's a different kind of mental illness than like I said, schizophrenia or depression, or it's different than that.
Oh, sure, it's different, but there's a huge umbrella of mental illness.
I guess here's my point. A person that has schizophrenia, it is a genetic thing. It can be helped with medication, but we can't point back in their life and go, this event right here, that probably led to it, or that exacerbated it. Okay? With a sociopath, oftentimes they can go back and in the psychological growth of that individual, they can see right here, when the father left, when the mother left, when this child was raped, all of a sudden something broke in their head and all of a sudden the sociopath showed up. The reason I think that distinction is important is because it does not remove responsibility from them, but it allows me to start looking at society and saying, okay, there's a bigger thing that we have to deal with here. Father's leaving, mother's leaving,
Sure.
all this kind of stuff. That's something that we can actually fix. I cannot all of a sudden just eradicate all schizophrenia or all these kind of things. That's the distinction I'm making as far as
Okay,
this.
I see what you're saying there.
Okay.
Okay.
Because for me, for this kid, like, I don't know what his background. I don't know if he was bullied. I know that his mother died last November.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of shit going on in his life that was really, really bad.
Okay, I know plenty of people who grew up bad, who had shit going on in their lives, or their parents died, or they were raped or whatever. They're not killing people. They're not killing people. They make
Not
bad
with
decisions.
guns.
Huh?
Not with guns.
Not with guns.
But with Facebook
Slowly,
comments.
But with absolutely.
Mean tweets.
That's
They're killing people's souls. So we'll leave you off right there. Please do us a favor. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook. You can check us out and follow us on Twitter. We are at What's Off Weekly. You can also check out our website, www.consideringthesource.com. At that site, you'll go to the podcast tab, and that should take you in, and you could listen to What's Offensive Weekly episodes or even old Considering the Source episodes. Those are there for you. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure and tell a family member, tell a friend, somebody else who you think might enjoy it, be entertained by it, or challenged by it. Either way, we just want to say thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.